Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Lexa Peterson, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Captain Samuel Cox. Today marks the 82nd anniversary of the beginning of the siege of Tobruk. To obstruct Rommel's advance into Egypt, the port town of Tobruk had to be held at all costs. The Australian 9th Division formed the core of Tobruk's defence. Commanded by Major General Leslie Morshead, the 9th Division, supported by the 7th Division's 18th Brigade and an assortment of British and Indian troops, endured much hardship, becoming known as the Rats of Tobruk for their tenacity and determination. The men endured panzer attacks, near constant shelling, and continuous air raids. Their world became one of mines, barbed wire and concrete perimeter posts, night raids and constant patrolling. In early December, Rommel was forced to quit Tobruk and retreat westwards. Tobruk remained a thorn in Rommel's side and prevented his advance into Egypt that year. The Australians who had formed the core of Tobruk's defence suffered the heaviest losses. From April to the end of October, casualties totalled 3,349, including 749 dead. Today, we remember those who are listed on the Roll of Honour and the survivors who returned home. Shortly, we will tell the story of Private David William Bradey, who was among those killed during the siege of Tobruk. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private David William Bradey. Bill Bradey was born on the 8th of December 1917 in Noora, South Australia, one of 5 children born to Alfred and Blanche Bradey. The family moved across the border to Maringa in Victoria when Bill was young, and he grew up on his brother-in-law's farm where he was homeschooled. Bill became a labourer on the farm, and as a young man, met Dorothy Hilda Vogt. When Dorothy became pregnant, they married in early December 1937. Their daughter Sonia was born the following year. When Bill and Dorothy's marriage broke down, Sonia was brought up by her grandparents. Regardless, Bill was a doting father and spent as much time with his daughter as he could. With the advent of the Second World War, Bill volunteered for service in the Australian Imperial Force at Mildura on the 14th of June 1940. He was sent to the training depot at Royal Park in Melbourne before a further move to Wangaratta, where he underwent his initial training. After completing training in August, Bradey was posted to the 2nd 24th Battalion. In November, he transferred to the 2nd 23rd Battalion to serve with his older brother Lawrence. The brothers embarked from Melbourne on the 16th of November 1940 aboard the transport ship Strathmore, arriving in Egypt in mid-December. On the 3rd of January 1941, Bradey was hospitalised with mumps. He rejoined his unit at Cyrenaica in Libya after 3 weeks of treatment. In late March, German Lieutenant General Erwin Rommel launched an offensive into Cyrenaica. The 9th Division, to which the 2nd 23rd Battalion belonged, was forced to withdraw to the fortified port of Tobruk. Arriving on the 9th of April, the battalion was initially sent to occupy positions on the outer western perimeter. Over the next 5 weeks, it held off German attacks on its positions. At the end of April, Rommel launched an attack known as the Battle of the Salient, capturing a number of fortified posts in Tobruk's outer defences. While the main battle ended on the 4th of May, over following weeks, the Australians launched attacks to retake lost ground. One such attack was undertaken by the 2nd 23rd Battalion in the early hours of the 17th of May, just before 8 a.m. The Germans put up a smokescreen, causing visibility to be greatly reduced. As Delta Company advanced, located on the right flank of the battalion, it came under heavy fire from mortars, artillery, and machine gun fire. The company's 2 forward platoons were largely wiped out, and few men were able to reach a relatively sheltered point near their objective. Though his death is not mentioned, it is highly likely that Bradey was killed during this action. The attempt to recover the captured posts ended in failure. At the end of the day's fighting, the battalion had suffered 20 killed, 59 wounded, and 95 men missing, a number of whom were taken prisoner. Bradey was laid to rest at the Knightsbridge War Cemetery at Acroma. He was 23 years old. His brother Lawrence survived the campaign in the Middle East and later campaigns in New Guinea and Borneo, returning to Australia in 1946. He only mentioned his brother to his niece once. Sonia passed away in late 2019, never knowing the full story of her father's life. Bradey's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private David William Bradey, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. we leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.